Hello and welcome to a community fortress. This is the fortress of Pleatstandards, which was submitted by Olivewolf. Once again, if you would like to send in a fortress for me to have a look at on this series, simply join my Discord. Link is down in the description of this video. And then you can, from there, find the room called df-save-sharing. Upload the file to your save sharing platform of your choice or the Dwarf Fortress File Depot. Leave it on that Discord with a couple of screenshots as well as a brief description and give me permission to use it in a video, and I will definitely do my best to take a look. So this is a rather expansive one, and I'm looking forward to it. They do state that the main attraction is the aqueduct system, so we'll have to be looking for that. This fortress is of the site government of the Bald Fortification and the Ordered Crystal, a dwarven civilization. And here there's a noted artifact called the Student's Mountain Home, which is a good name for an artifact. But let's jump to the surface, shall we? So up here on the surface, there is a bunch of walls, which are very intelligently blocked off by these roadways, which are stopping trees from growing so that things can't, of course, give enemies the ability to simply climb over the walls here. And there is quite a hefty overhang as well, stretching all the way out with fortifications around the edge. I find obsidian rather difficult to actually parse in this version of the game just because of how black it is, and then one layer up on the top there is a roof to stop stuff from flying up and over, which is very smart. And then down here in the fortress itself, we have these lovely little melon vines and various other plants. Of course, they are using several mods in here from what I can tell for different plant varieties, but up here in the middle we have this cage trap line to stop things from getting in. And then we poke around for the front door a little ways. Up on an upper level, you can see all of these different furnaces doing various tasks out here in the open, as well as this entire farming and food industry, mechanics workshop, fisheries, and various other things, even clothers workshops. It's a very busy surface area. But if we move up a layer, we can see this big old tower, and then here is what appears to be a large crushing bridge, if I were to guess. It is linked up to a lever, so it certainly seems to be rather busy. And then over here we have this central tower thing. So let's take a peek at that. We're going to move up, we're going to move up, we're going to move up, and we're going to move up, and we're going to move up until it closes. Inside of the tower is the king, it appears, named Saigon. This is, of course, a capital, so there's going to probably be some spoilers by the bottom, but we have this, and it's all set up as a library with many fancy gems around the edges. I'm actually kind of curious as to how they got these gems here. And then down here, rows and rows and rows of very well-appointed, spaces for there to be artifacts left here, all of these fancy pedestals. And as well as the Baron of Gleeful Sack, which is a name. That's a choice. And then a few layers down as we move down the tower, we eventually approach this aquifer layer, which is feeding water and more and more and more. And I realize I haven't actually found the front door to this fortress yet. Maybe this is going to be one of those forts where I'm like, I don't know where the door is. Is there one around the edge of this? Doesn't appear to be. We may have to figure out where the front door is eventually. Oh, maybe it's over here. Ah, there we go. Ramps going down in. So we'll take that into the front then. So ramps going down and in, we can see that they are surrounded by wood, not the material I would have chosen personally. There are some zombies in here and intelligent undead, but then once we get into the fortress itself, it splits off into these two directions, and it is dense. All of these clear glass tables surrounded by all of this native gold and illuminite floor. Up here at the top, we have these very, 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 very full barrels of amaranth beer from it looks to be mostly amaranth beer. I wonder why amaranth specifically. And then on the sides, we have these guild halls and temples and bedrooms, and these massive, massive, massive clear glass dining halls. I'd be really curious to know how old this fort is. I'm seeing it's year 144, so I'm guessing, if I had to assume, it would be around 44 years old. They did say that FPS was getting a little bit much on this one. I can probably make the safe assumption that part of the reason frames are rough is just the sheer number of materials you have in here. Like, if you were to just fill this room up with lava, your frame rate might actually improve a little bit. Although, because of the recent discussions about frame rate and line of sight stuff, meaning you're kind of tight, like the triangle based stairs that I always recommend to people seem to be the optimal way of going, as well as just like removing line of sight for people. So just at a glance, I'm kind of assuming that forts like this are going to be a little bit rough on the frame rate because of all of the big open areas, but they look so cool, so god damn it, who cares? You move down a layer and it's pretty much the same layout here as the one above, and down here on the end here you can see these little minecart routes that I'm assuming are just bringing materials up. If we go down and down and down, you can see this whole fortress just kind of continues. So much construction. It's actually hard to like parse which layer I'm on because of how mirrored they all are, but we have all these tiny little bedrooms with their own personal statues, and then one layer further down we've got this humongous tavern called the Helmed Meal, which is surprisingly empty. Like there's a lot of dwarves in this fort, but it's like all of these spaces are surprisingly empty. One thing that I will note looking at this dwarf, they're running low on clothing. It feels like I mean sock, glove, pants, and come on, give them like cloaks or something. Like they're almost naked. Then over here we got more of these big old dining rooms and more of these massive stockpiles and more of these separate dining halls and offices and such. And I wonder, like, is this person even alive? This is the chief medical dwarf. It says that they're naked. Do we have like some clothing problems? It seems like this fortress has like zero clothing industry. I'm actually kind of curious now, because the more I'm looking at these people, the more I'm going, man, they're all naked. So this is going to take a little while for it to load, so I will shut up until this stock screen loads. So you may notice that the camera's in a different spot now. So the reason for this is I clicked on the stock screen button and the game then proceeded to not load for about 10 minutes of recording time and then finally crashed. So I don't know how much they've overproduced here, but it's clearly a lot. So my concern with this, and I guess my general advice would be to manage your production of items and make sure that items, especially in the bulk sense, like in areas like this, go into bins, because you've got so much stuff sitting around. That's what's demolishing your frame rate. Now, they do say in their post, which I was reading while the game was falling over, that the reason so many of the dwarves are unclothed is because they were in the process of transitioning to underground and they ran out of cotton. My advice would be, and if you're looking for advice, would be to make sure that you have clothing supplied before you do that, because the process of doing such tasks is going to drive your dwarves nuts. This is a beautiful layout for a fortress. Absolutely gorgeous, but it is absolutely a terrible example of how to actually manage your fortress's resources. I think that the visuals of this fortress are really, really cool, and the build style of this fortress is kind of awesome. And I think the pre-planning is kind of incredible, but I think it's such a colossal overuse of so many resources. You're going to, like, you don't need this much sitting here, right? Like, there's never a point where you are going to need this many bins of items and things just, like, lying around in storage, right? Now, if you're okay with your fortresses running terribly, that's totally fine. You can absolutely build fortresses like this. But if you plan them like this and then go, why are these running badly? All I can tell you is, unfortunately, you've kind of done it to yourself and doomed your fortress to run terribly. I will say that this minecart route that goes all the way up to the surface up here, or all the way up to the fortress from the magma sea, is pretty cool and a really neat way of transporting materials to up here and vice versa. But my God, is it like putting a strain on my PC to run this fortress? And I really wish it wasn't, because I think it looks particularly cool. Now, if I try to unpause it for a few seconds here, I don't know what kind of supercomputer you're running this on, but it's certainly a better one than mine. If I try to unpause this, you can see that it's running at about 3 frames a second. And that is all because of the items. Loading this stock screen caused my game to crash. So actually locating every single one of the items in this fortress caused my game to crash. So yeah, while this is a really cool fortress to look at, unfortunately, the individual running this fortress, Olivewolf, you really, really need to take some of your design aesthetics and put them aside and not produce and overproduce so much stuff. If you want your game to run at more than 8 to 10 frames a second. However, this is kind of an achievement and looks awesome. And I don't really have any criticism aside from, please produce less stuff. Thank you very much for watching this episode. If you would like to see more videos like this, check out this YouTube channel. There's a growing playlist of them. And if you would like to support me and my work directly, you can do that either via Patreon or picking up a piece of merch or swinging by one of my live streams at twitch.tv/BLINDIRL. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you and higher frame rates in the next one.